Hello, everybody. So I'm going to be thinking with you today about different theories on development that have emerged over time and been discredited, and also theories that will be the foundations of the work that we do here. So I'm going to start with some old ideas. Long ago, the idea of pre-formation was dominant, and that was the idea that every being, every baby, when it was born, had everything it needed to develop into a full human being. So everything was preformed and there was nothing that would come from the outside environment. So every baby had all it needed in its adult form. So every neuron, every cell, everything was there, and it was just a miniature human being. And of course, we know a little bit more than that now. We know that throughout the lifespan, we have certainly the development of the brain and the improvement and development of the physical body. So that idea has been discredited. We do have, then moving on, different ideas about how we become fully mature human beings. And one of these ideas is founded by John Locke, who suggested that every child is a blank slate. And what that means is that their brains are empty, and we just need to pour things into it. So it's called tabula rasa, which just means blank slate, but that's how it's often known. And that means that the children's minds are empty and waiting to be filled by us. And of course, now we know that that's not true, that in fact, even prenatally, the brain dendrites of that individual child begin to take form and shape the personality and fears and emotions of the child. And of course, later, the pathways that we use for learning are the ones that are strengthened, but they're all intertwined with the child's innate features that it was born with. Rousseau, a French theoretician, proposed that each person has sort of an innate plan that precedes them, kind of a religious idea, and that this plan is fulfilled throughout the child's life plan. So sort of a predestiny kind of idea. And it suggests then that, there's sort of a plan already in place for each child, and so we have relatively limited impact. And it's really, quite based on how that baby is born. And Giselle took that even further to suggest that we all have our different genes that we're born with. Genes. And that these genes determine who and what we become. And that the environment has very little impact. And you can see that this goes back, all of these go back to the nature-nurture debate, with varying degrees of people believing in nature or the environment as the primary impact. And of course, last time we described briefly how those are intertwined through the new theories of epigenetics. And we can never forget Freud. So even though he sometimes is considered controversial, he gave us a lot of really good ideas. And he points out that we all seem to have instinctive needs. For example, nobody taught the baby to cry when it's hungry or when it needs to be changed or when it's uncomfortable. So this instinctive needs he calls id, and he suggests that an infant is controlled by these instinctive needs. It just cries when it needs something. But that as we get older, the social factors around us give us, like the cognitive power, we would call it ego and superego, to override these instincts. So eventually the infant controls the id drives to become a socially acceptable adult. And in the next lecture, I will go through some of the modern theorists that we'll be following throughout the course, and most likely I'll take them one at a time so you don't get too caught up in long lectures. I think these shorter lectures are somewhat preferable. So I'll stop this recording and you can pop in on the next lecture for the rest of it.